All right, guys, I'm going to do a really quick tutorial. This is going to be for my my Technique Lovers Challenge today. My challenge is going to be I'm going to actually revisit an oldie but a goodie, and I mean, we were talking about TLC challenge number 10, I believe. And I've been doing this technique a lot lately, and I thought, you know what, this would be a perfect technique to use with you guys. So this is going to be my take, and I've seen it around, but just so that we're all clear, there's a tutorial for this in the SplitCoast Stampers tutorial section. It's called Joseph's Coat Technique. This is basically the same thing, but instead of using a brayer and glossy paper, I'm going to use some Canson XL watercolor paper. I'm going to use some Distress Oxides. My first layer is going to be Worn Lipstick, Wild Honey, and Squeezed Lemonade. I've already kind of gotten started. No rhyme or reason to my pattern here. I started with the Wild Honey, and now I'm going to go in with some Squeezed Lemonade. This Wild Honey is not super orange, so I'm going to actually go in with some Worn Lipstick to try to turn some of that yellow orange. You will see there is, like I said, I'm not having to fully blend. I'm not super worried about that. I'm just trying to put color on this cardstock in a variety of places, because this is just the base. Okay. I'm going to now, because I am doing this with Distress Oxides, they stay wet a little longer, and my next step is gonna be to do some embossing. So I'll go off camera really quick, and I'm going to dry this really good so that when I do my next step, I won't have a mess. Just a really quick test. I'm going to take, just to make sure it's good and dry, I'm just going to take and kind of pour a little bit of embossing powder on the card stock to see if it's going to stick. And looks like it's sticking a little bit right here in the corner, so I'm going to dry that a little bit more too. Okay, let's try that one more time. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so just to be careful, just to be sure, I'm gonna use an anti-static bag and just pounce on this pretty liberally. It doesn't really matter. This is supposed to be a really fun, quick background, so don't get too stressed out about it. For this card, I'm gonna be using a stamp set from Sweet and Sassy Stamps called Delightful Daisies. It's got some outline stamps, but it's also got these solid stamps. This technique works best with solid stamps. So you want to find silhouette stamps. You might want to find some chunky word stamps, like some chunky sentiments. That might be really pretty to repeat on the page. But so for this one, I'm just going to use this little daisy. All right, so I have some Versamark, and if you start from the top, you can kind of see as you do it so that you can keep going. But if for some reason you can't see where you last did it, go ahead and emboss it up, heat set it, and then you'll see the shine of the emboss that you've already done, and then you can just finish what you're doing on the rest of the page. I want to just spread out this solid stamp all over this page because you've got all these fun colors everywhere and you want to leverage them all. Okay. This stamp set comes with a center, and because I don't want the center of my flowers to be, you know, pink or white, I am going to use some Distress ink, because if you emboss it quick enough, it stays wet a little longer. I'm going to use some ground espresso. And again, I can still see where they are because the light is allowing me to still see the kind of the shine behind the emboss this Versamark. But if you can't, just start fresh. It's all good. All right, so I'm just going to do this really quickly since let's emboss it. Obviously, I don't need this much embossing powder. Having this big a bottle, I guess, just gives me the power to use as much as I want. All right. Yes, that looks good. All right, I'm gonna heat set this. Put that lid on there before I get some. I'll be right back. All right, so here is what it looks like now. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of fun and shiny. It's kind of a tone-on-tone look right now. But now I'm gonna pick a dark color, and in the traditional one, I'll tell you to use black. But I think that for fun, I'm gonna use a different dark color. I've been playing around with this all day. I'll show you a couple of examples in my gallery, and you'll see them when you start the project. But I'm gonna use some Forest Moss Distress Oxides. Okay. Sometimes this is the scary part. But the fun thing about this is you really don't take too much time. As long as you don't think about it too hard, you're not taking a lot of time creating this background. So if you don't like it in the end, do it over and try another color. But it's just super fun. It's a little messy, like any good inky background. I like it to be really dark, so I always like give it a spin around once, and then I go back around and do it again because I want it to be as dark as possible, because these colors are right now kind of popping through a little bit. And while I don't mind if they pop through a little, I don't want them to be super visible on the back of in my background. Because I want it to pop in the flowers. Grab a paper towel because it's getting super, super. Okay. I think that's going to probably be about as good as it's going to get. So here's the magic. The magic is now you go back and you just, with a paper towel, you're going to wipe over your solid image that you have embossed. It's going to pop up off the page and just make a super fun background. All right, you guys, so the challenge for you for this week's Technique Lovers Challenge is to create a background using this or the original Joseph's coat. I don't know how I could get that one mixed up, but Joseph's coat technique. Thank you.